Alright, hey there. So Angela just reminded me that I had to do your reading. So sorry it took so long to get to it. So basically, you had mentioned you were having a little bit of relationship trouble. So I did two readings. Well, the second one I'm gonna do right now. But the first one, I already pulled the cards for it. And you've had a reading from me before. I use crystals, but this time I'm using some cards that I created. So let's just go ahead and get right to it. So this is the heart of the matter reading, and basically it's going to touch on the heart of the matter, things that are bothering you, what's weighing heavy on your heart, and it touches on both sides of the relationship. So it's going to talk about you and your active role in it, and then your partner's active role in it. So the first question is, what is the heart of the matter? The card I pulled for that was spontaneity. So the notes that I took to write down, to share with you were unpredictable behavior, changing up every minute, and then 1 minute is one way, and the next minute is a complete different person. Like, what the hell happened? Tired of going back and forth, constantly arguing over seemingly small things. There's a lack of positive spontaneity, like getting to know each other on a deeper level. You can be with somebody for 5-10 years and still only know this much about them, and learning. Spontaneity, positive spontaneity is not always about only sharing the good things. It's about sharing your fears. It's about sharing your insecurities. It's about sharing the things that make you sad or upset with each other, so that you guys can better understand one another. So also that has to do with you becoming bored with the same old thing. You're tired of going through the same old situations. And then it's good for about a week or so, and then it goes right back to the same crap. So basically that's the heart of the matter for you right now. So the next question was how you see this current situation, how you're currently viewing it. So the card, actually two cards came out for that. The first one was search, and the second one was whisper on the wind. So basically you're searching for the solution, but you're also searching for the source of the issue. Like, what is the problem? Why can't we get this right? Why do we keep going back and forth? But the whisper on the wind aspect has to do with spirit, what you're ignoring. Your spirit is telling you deep down what you need to know or what you should do, and basically you're ignoring that because everybody does that, especially when you really like a person or love a person and you feel like you can change this person or help them to change or persuade them to act differently. But you have to understand that people do what they want to do, regardless of how you feel about it. And the best thing you can do is get yourself in line. So let's move on to the next question. Don't ignore what spirit is telling you. Next is how they see the relationship or the current circumstances. The card I pulled for them was look deeper. So basically they need to look deeper within themselves and deeper into the relationship. I feel like they're still on the surface with you, both of you really, but coming from their side, they're still on the surface. They have an idea of how a relationship should look or should be, but instead of allowing it to be what it actually is, they're basing their actions and reactions off of what they feel, the expectations that they have for it. And I know people like to set expectations, but when you set expectations, you don't give yourself a chance to truly see what's going on. Expectations are only good for goals. Like, I really don't believe in setting expectations. there's a difference between setting a goal and expectation. When you set a goal, that means it's something that you're constantly working to achieve, and no matter what, you're striving to achieve this goal. But when you set expectations, you think that you have to achieve this goal by only doing it a certain way, when really you're going to, if it's a goal and you're going to achieve it, you're going to achieve it, but it may not be in the way that you think. So I hope that makes sense. So basically, this information is for both of you, but for your partner, how they are viewing the relationship or expecting the relationship to go, they have to let go of those expectations in order for them to truly embrace and experience the relationship. So the next card question is, what do you need to understand? So this is going to be about what you need to understand in this relationship, or concerning the relationship or the circumstances. I pulled 2 cards, stay your course and unique. So what I wrote here was, do not ever compromise your morals. It's okay to compromise or change things that you feel could stand some adjusting, but when it comes to your morals, your true values, those are things that you should never change, because that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you who you are. And if you change yourself for a person, then that takes away the realness of the relationship. Because you're not changing because you want to. You're changing so you can appease somebody else. And that's the other thing I wrote. Don't change your morals or your values just to avoid confrontation, or to appease someone else, or even to comfort yourself. Oftentimes, because we don't want to be by ourselves, or we don't want to be alone, or we don't want to feel a certain type of way, we'll change and submit and adjust our morals and values just so we could feel comfortable. But in the long run, we end up being uncomfortable anyway, because that's not what we really want. So that's something for you to consider. You are unique for a reason, and nobody is the same, and it's supposed to be that way. So embrace that about yourself, and all you can really do is be yourself, and you have to allow that other person to be themselves as well, but that doesn't mean that you have to accept abuse or mistreatment. So next question is what they need to understand. So for them, a bunch of cards came out at the same time, so I'll just read that. It was desire, keep the faith, change of scenery, lessons to be learned, and insecurities. So let's start off with desire, and this is for your partner. So just because you, partner, desire something or someone, doesn't mean that it's good for you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you should have it, or that it's something that's going to be beneficial to you. People desire to be rich and famous, but then when they get to that point, they're still unhappy because they realize that it's really not as exciting as they thought it was. There's a saying, the grass ain't always greener on the other side, and I like to say sometimes the grass is greener on the other side, but that's because it's fake, it's not real, and you end up being over there on the other side and realize it's not everything you thought it would be. That goes back to expectations. So learning to curb your desires instead of acting on your impulses or insecurities will help you better understand yourself and understand what you need. A lot of people think that relationships are about being with another person and doing things for them, but a relationship is about strengthening yourself, and the more you strengthen yourself, the stronger the relationship will become. So the next is keep the faith. So this is saying don't give up just because something is not going your way, or the way you planned or expected. This goes back to what I said about expectations and having them. Throw those out the window. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the things you need. Like, you could have everything in the world that you could possibly want, all the things that you ask for, but if you don't put yourself in a position to be appreciative of yourself, of the process of life, of the process of relationship, of anything, then you're not going to recognize that you have everything that you've been asking for, and you're going to squander it, and you're going to take advantage of it, and you're going to be sad or mad or disappointed, and even potentially throw it away or lose it, and then you're going to be really upset, because that's when you're going to start saying, man, I wish I would have done this, or I should have did this differently. But you always have a chance to do that. So being aware of what you have, now and appreciating it and appreciating yourself, embracing yourself, this will help you better understand what you need in a relationship, or what you need for yourself, and your relationship will be able to flourish and grow stronger. Next is change of scenery. This means it's time to change your thoughts, your way of thinking. That's been the whole thing for you, basically. These expectations, I'm going to keep saying it, throw them out the window. The more you expect something, the less you experience. You don't experience the full capacity of whatever it is you're going through. So when it comes to relationships, you can't have expectations. You have to allow that person to be who they are, and you have to allow yourself to be who you are. If you are afraid, which we all can be at times, which leads me to the insecurities and lessons to be learned. So let's move on to those. If you are afraid to be yourself and be open in a relationship, then you might as well not be in a relationship. Relationships are about taking chances and taking risk. It's a 50% risk for everybody that's involved in the relationship. So it doesn't make any sense to guard yourself, or this is not saying just allow people to treat you any kind of way, but it doesn't make sense you can't guard your heart, really, because love is about being open and vulnerable. Like a seed is a tiny little thing, and it's deep into the soil, but after its roots sprout and it begins growing, that little seed is vulnerable. Think about trees. They start from tiny little seeds and they grow into these big, enormous, strong and sturdy beings, because they are beings. But that's the whole point. They were vulnerable. They had to endure the snow, they had to endure the rain, they had to endure droughts, they had to endure the blazing sun. So they never once said, oh, I can't do this and I'm not finna grow. You know what I mean? They continued to grow until they became these big, beautiful trees. And that's the same thing with yourself in a relationship, with anything in life. It is always going to be a point in time where you feel vulnerable and where you feel open and even a little intimidated. But if you let that get to you, you stunt your growth and you'll never move anywhere. And you'll always keep creating these same negative relationships for yourself. So the lessons to be learned has to do with growing from your disappointments and growing from your insecurities. People think that being insecure is a bad thing, and it's really not. Insecurities help you understand who you are and why you act a certain way. So if you are insecure about being in a relationship because you've been hurt before, that's something that you need to address with yourself and say, well, I've been hurt before, but how did I get hurt in this last relationship? Oftentimes when we're hurt in relationships is because we ignore the signs, A. B, we know for a fact, which leads to ignorance, being ignorant or choosing to ignore something. We know what's really going on, but because of our own selfish reasons, because we want this or we feel like we need it, we compromise our morals and values, and then we end up disappointed in the end because we didn't go with our truest mind, our truest heart. So I pretty much touched on the insecurities. You have to embrace them. Knowing what makes you uncomfortable gives you the time and the space and the opportunity to find out what does make you comfortable. Sometimes, though, the things that make you comfortable are not good for you, and the things that make you uncomfortable are good for you. Like, feeling vulnerable in a relationship. It may be uncomfortable, but it's good for you because those are the times that you're growing and you're learning about yourself. The more you learn about yourself, the better you are able to communicate with your partner, your needs, and what you want. This goes for the both of you. So question number 6 for you, Sweet Pea, is consider something for you to consider. Smart planning. So this means you need to make better choices for yourself. As far as planning the future, don't plan your future. The future is always changing. What you need to do is plan your present time. present, your present moment. Smart planning is about making the right choice for you. This goes back to compromising your morals and values. You have to stick to those things because they've gotten you this far. And you're successful at many other things, so there's no reason to adjust or change those. So keeping that in mind, make better choices for yourself. Start focusing more on yourself, planning things that you need for what you need to do or accomplish for yourself. As far as your partner goes, the heart of the matter, this is something you should consider. What is the true heart of the matter for you? This goes back to the insecurities and what I said about figuring out what it is that makes you insecure and uncomfortable. And knowing the difference that sometimes the uncomfortable things are things you actually need to go through and experience in order to grow, while the things that make you comfortable are the things that you need to get rid of because they're only holding you back from progressing forward. Get down to the heart of your insecurities. Why do you act a certain way? Why do you yell? Why do you have an attitude? Is it really because of your partner, or is it because you feel a certain way about yourself because of something that happened to you from somebody else and somewhere else? You have to be fair to yourself and fair to your partner. And the last two questions for you is, Sweet Pea, is action steps for you. Realization. You need to realize all of this. Realizing is not just about aha. It's about putting into action, making it real. All these things that were just shared with you, making them real in your life and in your world. And then for your partner, it is nature. So understanding the nature basically of the heart of the matter, of your insecurities, of your relationship you have with yourself, and then the relationship that you have with your partner. So that's the first reading, and now I'm just gonna do the second reading right now. And this is basically to shine some light on areas that you guys can use to strengthen your current relationship. So I'll give these a shuffle. So card number 1 represents the physical connection you two have and how to ignite it, your sense of security with one another. So this says trust in your intuition. This is card number 1. So basically this is saying just that. Trust in your intuition. I pulled the Whisper on the Wind card for you. Your spirit. What is your spirit telling you? If you guys follow your heart and listen to what's being told, if you ask yourself or, spirit, your creator, your angels, what can I do to make this situation better? What can I do to understand the situation? You will always get an answer. And again, you cannot have any expectations, otherwise you'll miss it. You can't be expecting for the answer to come in a certain way. It could come in a TV show or a movie that you watch together, and some certain things might stick out to you and give you a clue or access on how you can change and do something different. So let's go to card number 2. What is your intellectual connection with one another? This is about how you communicate your ideas with one another. This is a hidden inside. So this basically means that you don't communicate intellectually with one another. You may try, or but may feel thwarted by a certain or particular attitude that you exhibit or the other person exhibits when feeling uncomfortable or feeling like you're being attacked. That's the other thing. You can't always feel like when somebody's asking you a question that they're accusing you of something. Sometimes people really just are trying to understand, and it may take a few times of them asking you this question over and over, but sometimes you have to know when to explain something, how to explain something without being aggressive. But also, and this is for both of y'all, but also you have to understand that you cannot also make a person feel smothered, and you can't keep asking a person the same question just because they're not telling you the thing that you want to hear. If they're telling you the truth and you may not like it, but that's not the point of whether you like it or not. The point is for you to understand where this person is coming from so that you can have a better understanding of your relationship. So card number 3, passion. How do you enhance your passion? This says your word. So this has a double meaning. Keeping your word. If you say you're going to do something, or if you say you mean something, then you have to stand on it. Otherwise, if you don't, you don't follow through on what you say you're going to do, you weaken the foundation of the relationship, and that's when all the trust issues and the attitudes and back and forth come into play. But also your word has to do with the words you choose to use when you're communicating with each other. Are they harmful? Are you saying things to make a person feel bad because they made you mad or because they hurt your feelings? Choose words that are empowering and uplifting and encouraging, even when you feel upset, even when you have an attitude, because that's the nutrients that you're putting into the relationship. So if you're using toxic words and toxic energy, then you're going to continue to weaken the foundation of your relationship. So use positive words, positive reinforcement. The next card, card number 4, is your emotional connection. How you share or embrace your emotions with one another. So this says love. So there are times when you guys can be the best of friends, and that's in any relationship. But as soon as something don't go somebody's way, then it's an explosion, and that's not what love is about. If you always had everything your way, life would be so boring. You would get bored with it. Then you would have a problem with everything going your way, because there would be no chance for you to learn or progress or grow, or there would be no excitement. So love is also about experiencing the things that make you feel uncomfortable or make you feel upset or negative, so that you can grow and learn how to balance yourself and learn how to support your partner, how to support one another. So another way that you guys can connect on a deeper level is by showing that kind of love, showing real love, true love. It's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's going to be thunderstorms and tsunamis and hurricanes. But what matters is what you do after that and during that. If you're always in a panic and you're always running around with your head cut off or being mad and frustrated with one another, instead of saying, hey, well, what's really the problem? Let's sit down and talk about it. Or if the person is not ready to talk, then you also, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but not being ready to talk about it, like that's an excuse, and that's a cop-out. You cannot expect to fix a problem if you never want to talk about it, just because you're uncomfortable or really don't know how to say it. If you don't know how to word it or say it, then say that. Just say, listen, I really have a problem, but I'm not sure how to word it or explain it. The other person's response should be, well, explain it the best way you can. And when you're listening to your partner, it's not about how you feel about what they're saying. It's about listening to them and understanding what they're saying, because they're feeling a certain way and they want you to know it. And you have to be able to accept what they say as it is, and not try and put your personal spin on what you think they should be telling you. So that's a way to connect on a deeper level with this love, loving one another truly. Next card, number 5. I can't read my writing. I'm sorry here. Hold on a second. What makes the relationship strong and stable? The whole picture. So seeing the whole picture, this means seeing the whole picture is seeing yourself and your partner seeing their self as a whole person that's constantly growing, constantly in a state of evolving, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The more you view yourself in the light, your whole self as a whole person, the better you are able to communicate with one another in a relationship, because the more you understand yourself, you just tend to start understanding everything around you, relationships you have with other people, relationships you have with the world. But since we're talking about the relationship you have with one another, being stable and secure within yourself your personal choices, values, and morals will make the whole entire relationship stable, because you'll be able to communicate clearly what it is you need, what it is you don't need, want and don't want. So the next question is, what weakens the relationship? So this is the happiness card. So what weakens the relationship is putting your happiness, and by happiness, this is that false sense of happiness, like that temporary, instant gratification happiness. You're happy for that moment, but then that soon fades within a day or two, because, you know, the thrill of that certain or particular situation is gone. That is what weakens the relationship. Searching for that instant gratification, searching for constant happiness, thinking that it's supposed to be happy all the time. This doesn't mean it has to be bad or negative, but you know, there is turmoil for a reason. There are disagreements for a reason. There's disappointments for a reason, and that's so you can grow. So only expecting to be happy 100% of the time, all the time, is going to weaken the relationship, because then you're going to be mad about why you're mad, and then you're never going to solve a problem, because everybody wants to be right, and you can't get nowhere like that. So, okay, what can elevate the relationship is the next card. Heart of the matter. So again, I'm pulling this card. What can elevate the relationship is really getting down to the heart of the matter. Both of you. For you, getting down to the heart of the matter, your personal morals and values again. Same thing from the last reading. So this is basically a confirmation of what was previously said. Your angels and guides are letting you know, Creator is letting you know that it's not necessarily about the other person all the time, because you are a individual. Both of you are individuals, and you are unique. So you have your unique needs. Then every need you have must be met by yourself first before you can expect anybody else to meet it. So if you are not taking care of yourself but expect to be taken care of, it's not going to happen, because you don't know how to do it, and this other person doesn't know how to do it for you, and they don't have an example to go off of. They don't have an example to follow, one that you would set. The way that you act is the way that they act, and vice versa. So you guys feed off of one another, and that's in any relationship. So that's what you need to be focusing on. This can elevate the relationship. Both of you getting down to the heart of the matter, your personal issues that you have with yourselves, and then working those out so that you can work together with one another. The next question is, what is missing? So this says denial. Now this has a double meaning. The first meaning, denial, denying impulses. You know, there are certain things that both of you act on that you necessarily shouldn't just act on. And those are impulses that you have out of insecurities, out of anger, out of disappointment. You just had a fight, so you're going to go do this, or you just had a fight and you're going to go do that. Denying certain desires, looking elsewhere because you're not happy, or things aren't going your way, or you can't control the way a person is acting. So looking elsewhere, you'll find that if you're looking elsewhere, that you're still going to be unhappy, because that's just like taking a Tylenol to soothe the pain. The Tylenol doesn't cure the pain, it just stops it from hurting for that time, but the source of the pain is still not dealt with. And that's the same thing with relationships. If you're choosing to step outside the relationship because you're upset, that you're not really working towards solving an issue, you're just masking a problem, and then when you go back, it's still going to be there, and then you're going to find that you're going to have that problem everywhere you go, and every relationship you get into is going to manifest itself in one way or another. So that is what is missing, denying those impulses and those negative things. But denial also has to do with denying your truest feelings. That's what's missing. And not denying so much, but accepting them, being in denial of how you truly feel or what you really need to do. you should be missing that. Like, that's what should be missing from the relationship, being in denial of yourself. You shouldn't be in denial of what's going on. You should embrace what's going on so you can change or fix whatever you need to fix. And so the last card is going to be action steps for the both of you, something for both of you to consider. So 2 cards. And basically what I just say, deny your truest feelings. Don't doubt your feelings. It's important that you don't, because they're there for a reason, and they're there to show you and guide you in the way that you need to go. And then what I said before about getting to know yourself and taking care of yourself. How can I love myself more is the card. So action steps for both of you. This is for every card was for both of you, things that you need to consider. How can you love yourself more? The more you love yourself and understand what you need for yourself and need to do for yourself, the better you can communicate those needs to your partner. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, just hit me up. All right? Bye-bye.